learn that. And I think that that's going to help me with whatever my next journey is. Because I'm not done. I don't know where this goes. I have no idea where this goes. But I'm like,
Right.
this is a fundamental challenge that I had to deal with, where I had a challenge of talking to, I don't know if it's men or authority. I don't know which one it is. But whatever that conquest was that I had to conquer, I'm getting really close to conquering it. And I'm like, okay, if I look at it from that perspective, I can't be mad at any happened to me, right?
Well, I mean,
Well, you know what I mean, like for personal development. Not for life stuff, but for personal development, for me, for what my purpose in life is. My purpose in life isn't to acquire assets. It never was. For what
right.
my purpose in life is, and will be, whatever, all of happen. And if I took it personally, then yeah, my feelings got hurt. But if I don't take it personally and go, hey, they're trying to tell me that this is something, and it might be me and it might be them. And I mean, I'm not going to say it's all on me, because there are times where people were just straight up out of line, right?
Right.
But when I can have a professional conversation with one of you, or even a personal one, but it's got courtesy and respect, we can communicate with each other.
Right.
And whenever I step out of line, you guys are like, yo, we don't think that smart.
Well, I mean, on some level, okay.
That was a
On
diss.
some level,
Did you even catch that? Sorry.
I did.
Okay, sorry. That was a funny one.
Well,
Sorry.
but I mean, on some level, also like, okay, um, I mean, not for nothing, but your preferred, and generally mine, unless I'm just tired and I'm like, oh, yeah, I just don't got the energy for it. But your preferred form of conversation is verbal over the phone. You know.
It really is, and I don't get that a lot from people. Most people just want to text
See,
nowadays.
that's what I think is maybe what it is that you're finding that there are still others out there that for which that's also true, and
Some,
because
but
rather for
honestly, the written, it's funny. It's funny you say that, and I like that you say that, because I've really been analyzing this. This is like a fundamental thing where I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out now. This is a quandary that I got to solve, and I have realized that my written community. Okay, I was thinking about back to Magistrate Taryn. When Magistrate Taryn came on this case, and I filed a motion saying, hey, maybe this needs to go in front of Plu, and I was not doing that in any way, shape, or form to be disrespectful. I was letting her
right,
know, hey, there's a really serious problem here. But I can understand how she, having no information about what's going on, having no information really about me, would perceive that as an attack. And I didn't see it that way at the time. Mhm. But
right.
I can see why I got a villain label on a lot of and it's really like having to look at it from somebody else's vantage point, which I never really did. I was always looking at it from mine. So I
Right.
was like, why are you acting like I'm doing something wrong? This is totally legal. Yes, I'm being, I know it, but I'm allowed to be. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Right.
maybe not the best way to handle things. I can
It,
acknowledge
it,
that.
it does come off slightly elitist if you say
Dude, yeah, no, I
I,
like that, and that's the thing where I'm like, not that I want to go back and apologize to all these people, but I can
no,
look
no,
back over
no.
interactions and be like, oh, and that's what I was trying to tell you the other day, where I'm like, okay, I would have never stumbled upon. I'm glad we're recording this conversation, because this needs to be said, and I've said it
Oh,
to
yeah,
you.
we're doing that.
Yes, we are. But okay, like I don't feel. Don't get me wrong. There's times when I was definitely being deliberately 100%. But some of the times I just literally was talking the way that I talk, the way that my brain works. And if you step away emotion from what I actually say, I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm not saying anything wrong. I might be saying it in an acidic way, but I'm not saying anything incorrect. I'm not saying anything, it's like the underlying phase thingy that I'm allowed to do, that I'm good at doing. Where, like, you have a great day. Everybody knows that means go f off. They know that.
Right.
But they can't say I'm saying go off, because if they do, I'll be like, you're discriminating against me. And I totally did that. I'll admit that. I that.
So you are somewhat exploiting a societal power imbalance.
Yeah, but it never for me. It
Oh,
never fucking worked for
I,
me. And it
I
wouldn't if I
know.
would have had more backing from people in positions of power because they knew what happened was wrong. Like, the more I unpack this case, the more I go through this, the more I recognize how many of them knew what was happening to me. Even if they weren't active participants, they all knew what was happening to me. And none of them helped me. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's because I had a bad interaction with this person one time over something completely unrelated. This person's going to tell me to go off. And that is on me. I mean, I don't know that that's what's underlying it, but I have to believe that's part of it. And okay, cool. Then you know what? In that instance, I'm the one in the wrong, and I'm the one who needs to make the change. And that's what I'm working on.
Well, I guess also just the only other thing I'll throw out there is like, for example, like for me, there's definitely people that are in the orbit of what I do that I don't appreciate. Okay,
Yeah.
and I can try to go out of my way to just not interact with them.
Yeah.
In your case, you literally can't. You know,
Well, and you know
I
what's
mean,
funny? I was thinking about that even because, okay, I only had to deal with these on a handful of occasions because I didn't have that many cases with them. But every time I did have a case with them, I felt personally like they were deliberately going out of their way to make things more difficult for me, and they were deliberately withholding records, and I proved that over and over and over again. And so, I may have been wrong. Maybe that happens in every case, and I was the only attorney that ever called attention to it. Maybe that's why. I don't know why. But what I do know is that the second I started calling out misconduct, instead of them fixing it, it feels like they went out of their way to engage in more misconduct to, like, show me something. And, like, it didn't hurt me until they all cheated and fucking in the back. It made me more money. It brought me more clients, but it also destroyed more children and more families. That's not normal behavior. I don't care how you slice it. My behavior may have not been normal in communicating like fair enough. I'll own that. If that's part of what contributed to this, then that's part of what contributed to this. But there aren't rules that say you have to treat somebody poorly because they ask you rudely for something that they're entitled to have. I don't even think I was that rude. I was just direct with them. And like, hey, you know what the law is. Why aren't you following it? If that's rude, then how do we get anything done when the people who are supposed to fulfill things don't do what they're supposed to do?
it's interesting because do you remember my story from a few weeks ago when I was talking with our truck driver guy
Yeah.
from Kansas City, and he said that his boss always falls back on that's a you problem, not a me problem, and I was like, that's such a just crappy way of looking at the world in general, But it's interesting because like one of the things, at least let's go with it. Let's go within the post-COVID environment, just so we can give a little bit of legs there. But one of the things that's interesting is that we really have become an absolutely stratified society where, like, hey, did you watch the game last night? Nobody knows what you're talking about. No, we don't have the same news information sources. We don't have the same, Friends and Seinfeld. We don't have the same. It's just, in some ways, it's like, to be able to actually pull all the pieces together for your story is almost impossible.
Except for I did it.
Right, but then that's also why you can maybe it's more easy to understand why everyone's like, well, no, she's crazy. She's just reading something wrong. She's doing something wrong. Blah blah blah. On with my day because you know. It could tie even deeper just to like how we treat just everything anymore.
I know. And see, that's the whole thing. It's like we sit there wringing our hands, wondering about like the demise of our society, but we're watching it happen, and we know of this going on, and nobody's willing to do anything because everyone's afraid of being retaliated against. And that's a place to live. We're all under the gun of the people in authority, and we put them there.
Yeah.
We put them there.
And not only that, but I mean, there's a great movie from like 1976 or something, because it's youngish Robert Redford, called The Candidate.
Uh-huh.
And in The Candidate, he's basically a guy who wants to do good things, and someone identifies him as like, hey, you know what? You got some conviction and you're good looking. Maybe we can make you like a guy to run for governor, right?
Yeah.
And so he basically just goes along with it because he's like, well, I want to try to change this one thing. And then the last scene of the movie is that, spoiler on a 50-year-old film, so they announce, that he wins. He goes up there, he waves his hands, as like the victory thing. And he gets back to the back room and he goes, well, what do we do now? And I kind of think that with just the way that our whole political system is obfuscated anymore, that I can't hardly imagine anybody getting into office and not saying, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, I was in municipal government, which I actually enjoyed until everybody made it miserable. But, I don't think most people start out with the intent to engage in corruption. I mean, they all went to school. They all took the same classes as me. We all watched the same videos. We all read the same case studies. We know what happened if we get caught. But now I believe they just tested the system long enough to know that, okay, cool, we're impenetrable. And that's really scary because that's it's an unchecked power. I've just heard all these weird little anomalies about things that people can do in these systems, and secret courts, committees that meet without any public record to decide the fate of people's lives, and I'm not cool with that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not cool with that at all, but it seems to be the trend, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm old-fashioned.
But also, it doesn't really seem anymore like we even have systems in place to carry through punishments for that.
We do. Well, so the systems are there, but are they being administered properly? No. Yeah, I just tested that. I just tested every system in the state of Colorado, and I feel really scared for the people in the state of Colorado because none of them work.